All right. We are supposedly streaming, but I'm going to wait for the notification to come through so that I can load up my dashboard just so I can make sure that everything's working okay and be able to see if anybody's even watching. But mostly I'm recording this because I would like to do some better quality videos than just sort of me randomly talking about things. About how I created and how I use my AI virtual assistants that I've made. Um, but I'm not sure the best way to go about it. I'm not sure the best way to demonstrate it. So I thought I just need to do it a few times and make mistakes and do it poorly so I can figure out the right way to do it. So this is my first attempt at doing that. Oh, I've got sleep mode on. So that's one reason why it's not going to show me the notification. And there it is. Manage your channel. There we go. All right, so we are live and broadcasting. So this came about because um, I'm an ambitious guy. I have lots of creative things that I'd like to do. And right now, I don't have really a team. I have one person, my buddy Noah, that helps me with a lot of things. And he helps me in my freelance work, and I'm able to pay him when we do that. But like in my filmmaking stuff, I'm not really able to pay anybody, including myself, at this time. And so he does a lot of things for me, but I just don't have a budget to pay a team to be able to come in and do all the things that need to be done. Things would move much faster if I could do that, mostly because I'm not a very good doer. That's just not sort of my strongest skill, which is tough because right now I'm kind of one of the only ones doing anything. I got a couple other people like Noah doing some things, but mostly if things are going to get done, it's on me. And everything in my life, I'm not married. I live by myself, work by myself. So just even basic life stuff. If it's going to get done, I've got to do it. And I get overwhelmed by that a lot. And sometimes I get sort of task paralysis where I'm like, I don't know what to do next. And there have been a few times in my life in different circumstances where I've had someone that was sort of right beside me. This is what we're doing next. Here's what we need to do next. Here's what we have left for the day. I had an intern for a little while when I was working at my church and doing a lot of marketing stuff, and she was actually like a graphic design type intern, but she was very organized, and she did not have to be the vision person because I was doing that. And so she was really good about saying, wait, we have to do this. No, we got to get these done. We got this date coming up and that sort of stuff. So I found that really helpful. Another time is when I'm on set directing. So I'm a filmmaker, it's my background. When I'm on set directing, typically on a larger show, I will have a first assistant director. And what the first assistant director does is keeps track of the schedule, puts everything in a sensible order, runs the crew so that I can just focus on working with my cameraman and working with the actors and things like that. So in those few times that I've had somebody like that, I've been able to really accomplish a lot of things because they're able to do sort of this thing that for whatever reason my brain just doesn't really do that very well. There are some things my brain does very well. Excuse me. And there are things that are gifts to me. They're not things that I worked at, So I'm not bragging to say that. I was just sort of born with it. I don't know how it works and why it doesn't work in other ways. But I'm 47. I'm old enough now. I sort of know what about my brain works pretty well and what doesn't. And I've spent so long trying to fix some of the things that don't work well that I'm at this point, I'm kind of like, that's not going to happen. I'm just not going to be able to do that. And I need to find some other system, that works. So, like many people, I got into, testing ChatGPT, using ChatGPT and just sort of saying, what can this thing do? What can it not do? And it's pretty terrible at some things. It's pretty amazing at some other things. And I found one thing that it was good at was sort of summarizing anything long. And there would be lots of times when I would want to make like a short little reel video. Like I'm in my mind, I'm like, I can do this in 60 seconds or 90 seconds. and I go to like record a video of my thoughts, and it's like 15 minutes, it's just because they're just unfiltered and unorganized. And so what I first started doing was just spouting long brain dumps into a voice memo, copying the transcript out of that, and then pasting that into the chat box in ChatGPT and letting it summarize that. And so it would take me like 13 minutes to get something out, and it'd give me 2 paragraphs, in seconds. And I'd be like, yeah, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That's it. Now, I'm a writer, so I can do this on my own with time, with things that I care about. Um, but for just like day to day trying to get through stuff, like I don't really want to expend all that energy trying to whittle down sort of my own thoughts. If I've got a tool that will kind of help me do that, I would rather be on the, sort of coming up with the vision, creative thing, and then figuring out, okay, what is the format I'm going to put this in? But sort of some of the organizing and sorting and that sort of thing, culling of ideas and that sort of thing. I thought if there's some tool that I can use to do that, great. So once I saw that it was pretty good at this, I could kind of use it for that. I realized, I could probably sort of brain dump all the things that I'd like to do this week and be able to figure out like what I need to work on. Because I've always felt if I had something that says, here's what you need to do next, and you're going to do it from this time to this time, and then after that, you're going to do this, I feel like I would function a little better in that environment. I'm a freelancer. I work for myself. I make my own schedule, and it's a blessing and a curse. It's a great amount of freedom, and I love my clients and I love the things that I work on. But you have got to be a self starter and a self finisher and a self middler. I mean, you got to do everything. And and it requires discipline. And here's the thing about discipline: the root word of discipline is disciple. Okay, and so what is a disciple? Well, it's like a student. Well, it's kind of like a student. So a student is someone who learns something. A disciple is someone who learns how to do something. So when I was at University of Memphis, I was thinking about getting into film, and I saw a class that was called Intro to Film. I was like, oh, this is great. I'll be able to touch some cameras, maybe make a little short or something. Well, I didn't realize it was like we sit and watch movies and talk about it. It was like a theory class, which was great. It was a great class. I enjoyed the class. Um, but in that class, I was a student of film. After that semester, I applied to film school, and I went to film school for 4 years where we made films every weekend for 4 years. And there I was a disciple of film because I was learning how to do it. I was learning how to make it. Okay. So the root word of discipline is disciple. So it sort of implies in order to gain discipline, you have to learn how to do it from someone else. That's sort of the implication just by the root of the word. So if you wanted to be a blacksmith, you wouldn't read a book about it. You'd go to another blacksmith and you'd watch what they do, and you would sort of intern under them. They would mentor you until you were able to do it on your own. And one of the ways that you know that you're a master and that you're able to do it on your own is that you're able to teach it to another person, right? And so I had lots of great teachers. My parents are fantastic. I had lots of big support network, great communities growing up. But somehow along the way, there were just certain things that other people can kind of do naturally that I just never really seemed to pick up on or do. I was always okay with that because I was able to do these other fun things that most other people could not do. And so I enjoyed that. But when it came time to just do day-to-day things, I have a lot of trouble with that for some reason. And I feel silly still having trouble with that as an adult, as a grown person. But at some point, I just have to recognize that either I don't work this way, or I didn't learn how to do this, or whatever. Right? So I've got to come up with a system. I got to come up with a system that's going to help me do this. So I've got these little chat bots that are able to sort of sort and format and these kinds of things. They're not really good at writing stuff. Anytime I've tried to get it to write copy or come up with a story or something, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Anytime it comes up with a metaphor for something, it's terrible. I don't use it for that. But I can do that. That's fine. That's one of the talents in my stack of talents that I got. But the organizing and the putting things in order and time blocking and all that kind of stuff, I can do it. It takes a lot of mental energy. So if I've got a tool that will do it in seconds, I would just rather the tool do it, and I will count on that. So I spent time building a virtual executive assistant, something that I could come into every day and say, here's the things that I need to get done, and would help me plan out my day. And once I started using it a little bit and started crafting it and how it might work, I realized that, first of all, as I was using it, I realized I was getting things done every day, but it was just kind of movement. I was getting things done, but I wasn't sort of moving progress in my big projects that I wanted. So that's when I realized I can't just plan my day. Like I've got to plan my week. And after that, it was like I've got to plan more than a week. And so eventually, back in October, I went to my family farm and I just went out in the field, me and ChatGPT, and used voice mode and did a bunch of other sort of prompts and things that I had spent the week preparing just for that weekend, and essentially did a retreat for myself. I did a planning retreat, a strategic planning retreat, and came up with a strategic planning document. By the time I was done, here are all the things that I want to accomplish over the next 12 months, and broken them down into like sort of 5 umbrella sort of pillars. And then each of those pillars has like 3 to 5 major objectives. Those objectives are broken down into 4 quarterly milestones, and then each of those milestones is broken down into individual tasks that it will take to get to that milestone. And by the time the weekend was done, I had like 500 tasks to do over the next year, which is a lot. But I thought, I got to start somewhere. I got to have something to aim for. If I only do 300 of these tasks, that's probably about 290 more than I would get done without this plan, right? So that's the way I sort of always approach things. Let's be ambitious about it, and if we get 80% of the way there, then that's still probably 2 or 3 times farther than most people would get. And so I planned out my whole year, planned out a way to bring that strategic plan into my monthly planning. So the first Monday of every month, I do a monthly plan, call it a monthly reflection and forecast. I'm looking back at the last month and forecasting the coming month. So we call that an MRF, or if you're an Arrested Development fan, we call it a Mr. F. And so I have my MRFs that I do the first Monday of every month. And so then on Mondays, when I come to do my weekly planning, I've got that whole strategic plan that's sort of overall, and then I've got that MRF monthly plan to draw from. And then my weekly plan is a lot easier to figure out because it's like, here are the things that are outstanding. These are the things that we are supposed to be working on and things that we need to get done. And so another thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to sort of constantly persuade myself into better action, into a better frame of mind, into a better sense of who I want to be. And part of that began a long time ago when I heard about an exercise, writing your own eulogy. Sounds a little morbid, sounds a little crazy, but I heard two smart guys, Donald Miller and Andy Stanley, were talking about it. They were on a podcast with each other, and both of them had done it sort of independently. They'd heard about it. I'd never heard about it. I thought it was a great idea. So right away, I sat down at the coffee shop and set a 25-minute timer and wrote my own eulogy. And then I refilled my coffee, got up, walked around a little bit, came back, sat down, and then read it, and then wrote some thoughts about it. And right away, I noticed some things that were surprising, and then there were other things that I would expect because these are things that are important to me. So here's why you write your own eulogy, because if you just make goals for your business, you might make those at the expense of your personal life or the things that you want to do with your family or whatever. If you make plans for your family or set some goals or financial goals or whatever for your family, then that might not be aligned with what you're doing in your business. So if you write your own eulogy, what you're essentially doing is you are casting a vision for your entire life, holistically, everything that you want in your life. And so I wrote my own eulogy, but what I call it now is my legacy vision. In other words, this is the vision I have, the legacy I want to leave behind. When I'm gone, this is what I want people to say about how I live my life. Now, what's in that legacy vision does not describe what my life looks like now. What's in that legacy vision describes what I want my life to look like. You understand, right? So by doing that, now I have, okay, this is the man I'm trying to become. This is the person that I want to become. So if I start with that legacy vision, and then I have my strategic plan for the next year, and then I have my monthly plan, now I'm doing a weekly plan, I'm doing a daily plan, and every day I'm trying to become that man in that legacy vision. Every day, that's the end game. That's the long game that I'm playing. So in planning my day, I don't simply plan out the events of the day, but I want to begin right away with some positively persuasive things that'll put me in a good frame of mind, get me ready to work, get me primed to be creative and to feel good about the work that I'm going to do, to be helpful for other people, to be concerned about other people, to care about and love other people, and to do everything that I'm going to do for my God. I'm a believer, so do everything for God and to do everything for the benefit of other people. I want to make money for myself. I've got things that I would just like to have for fun and that sort of thing. But my main concern really is I want the creative work that I do to be helpful for people. If I'm just doing stuff that's only entertaining, that just doesn't really get me going. If it pays, I'll take the money. But I'm not going to work really hard for no money on something that's just going to be funny or entertaining or shocking or something like that. It's got to be meaningful. And so, as a side note, my feature film, The Darkness Rolled Over Her, is going to be done very soon, Lord willing. And you can go to parabolos.com, Parabolos.com, and you can see all about the movie. I will put the website in the chat. There we go. And actually, I'm going to open up, what's it called? Lime Chat. And I think I got this working so that if someone chats, I should be able to hear. So if there is anyone watching, definitely drop something in the chat. Let me know where you're from. In fact, let me put that as a message in case somebody comes in. So if you're watching, drop a line in the chat and let me know where you're from. Okay. And then I'm going to, oh yeah, I heard that noise. It's great. So now I'm going to pin that, and hopefully that means that if somebody, okay, that should be pinned. Great. Looks great. So now hopefully if somebody comes in later, they should be able to see that. Hopefully they'll drop a little line in the chat because it would be good to hear from everybody. Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to load it up and show you what all it is. So let me take you first to my desktop, and I guess let's do this one here. There we go. So that way you can see me down here in the corner. So I've got open a ChatGPT window, and then I've got open a Notion window. And we're going to take these one at a time, and I'm going to bring them full screen that you can see. And I guess I'll start with Notion. So the way Notion plays into this is really just sort of keeping my documents. I keep everything edited in there. So, well, let me show you ChatGPT first. So let me edit this one app here, and we're on window capture. That's good. So we'll go to that. Boom. Okay. So let's go to one of my projects over here. If you don't know about ChatGPT projects, they're essentially a way to collect chats and put them in a folder together. So let's open the Beatrice project here. Beatrice is my executive assistant. She's named after Dante's Guide Through Paradise. This is sort of an unrequited love of his. And Beatrice or Bice is her Italian name, but we can just call her Beatrice. And so Bice or Beatrice is my guide through what I hope will be sort of a paradise of a life. So you can see all the chats that I've got in here, just bunches of chats. So it collects the chats. But there's two big reasons why you would use a project. Number one is, if I go here to project settings, you'll see this little tiny window here that says instructions. And you can see there's a whole lot of instructions in here. And so that's the first part about it, is that the project can have its own set of instructions, which is essentially like a big prompt that applies to anything, any new chat that you begin in this project. So if I'm just out in my main chat, it's just sort of general ChatGPT like other people have. It has memory of things that I've put in and things like that. I pay for ChatGPT Plus, which is just the $20 a month deal. So it keeps pretty good memory of things that I've chatted about. So it knows a little bit about me. It knows who I am, that sort of thing. But otherwise, it's just sort of like any other ChatGPT that anybody would use. But in this project, there's a very specific set of instructions. And all of the instructions for Beatrice, I'll show them to you in a minute. There's so many of them. It's so long. You can only fit like 8,000 characters in that instruction box that I just showed you. So the way I've decided to break it up is I broke all of the pieces of her instructions out into modules, which are just separate text files, basically. And so that's the other feature of projects, is that you can have files. So you'll see here in the bottom half of this, there's a list of files that are here, and you see that they end in .md. That's a markdown file. It's basically just a text file, but markdown is a way to do some just really basic formatting. And I've got some CSVs and a couple of other things in there as well. But that's the files. So in order to get the instructions for Beatrice, I have to write them, and then I've got to export them as files or copy the text for her instructions into that instructions window. The rest of them have to be exported as files and imported into that file section of the project. So I've got to keep them some other place so that I can edit them and update them as I decide I want to change things and that sort of thing. Now, so I've chosen Notion as the place where I want to keep those things. So I'm going to change this over to Notion now so that you can see that. Projects. So ChatGPT has connections, connectors, and apps. And one of the connectors they've had for a long time is for Notion, which is sort of a note-taking app, but it's a little bit more than that. And the problem with the Notion connector is it only works in the main chat. It doesn't work in projects, and I don't know why that is. It worked in projects for like a week or 2 weeks or something, and then it went away. And I think only 5.1 it worked for some reason. With 5, they didn't have it. And 5.2, they didn't have it. But anyway, so I don't know why they took it away. I'm begging for them to bring it back because it would make my life much simpler because I keep a ton of stuff in Notion. As much as ChatGPT remembers about me, its memory is not great, and it's not definitive. And I don't want it guessing. I don't want it making up stuff. I don't want it hallucinating. I want real memories of real things that we talked about. And especially if I'm dealing with tasks I need to get done and stuff I need to get done for clients, I can't rely on ChatGPT's memory to be able to do that. So I need to sort of have an external memory. So I use Notion as the external memory for ChatGPT, and I'll show you that as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at Notion. And so I have here Beatrice, and you should be able to see my cursor as well. That's good. Okay. So Beatrice is just one of my virtual assistants. If you see over here in the sidebar, my virtual staff, Beatrice is my executive assistant. I have Don Draper, who is my marketing expert, of course, sort of taken after the character from Mad Men. My finance guy is Andy Dufresne. I mean, if you're going to have somebody looking at your books, I think Andy Dufresne is the guy to have, obviously from Shawshank Redemption. My personal chef is Colette Tatou from Ratatouille, and she's probably the assistant that I use second most to Beatrice. Basically, obviously, she can't really be a personal chef, but she helps me with planning groceries and menus. I have some pretty specific diet things that I like to do, and so I've uploaded text documents of that into her project files so that I can ask, wait, is this on this phase that I'm on, or is this on this thing? Can I eat this today? And she also keeps track of my calories and macros and that kind of stuff throughout the day. And will recommend, I say, here's what I want to have for lunch. And she might say, why don't you have this, but maybe leave this part out. And it's actually, changed my mind about eating some things sometimes. So that's good. It's helping me be a healthier person. And if nothing else, even, I don't know how much it actually helps, but the fact that I'm putting in everything that I'm eating every time that, every day pretty much, that's makes me aware of it, makes me aware of what I'm eating and makes me pay attention to it. And lastly, I have Alfred Pennyworth, of course, from Batman, and he is my steward. So he can't actually clean my house, but what he can do is sort of keep track of a number of chores that need to be done and things that need to be done on a regular basis. I have other apps and stuff for that, but this is more fun. I'd rather ask Alfred than like check a box in an app. That's a lot more fun, right? So one thing that Alfred helped me do, I after a film shoot, I had a ton of stuff in my living room. It was just so much stuff, and I was able to use the video chat feature with ChatGPT inside the Alfred project and just say, Alfred, this is my living room. Here's all the stuff. I don't know what to do. And I just went around and named everything, and pointed at it. And he said, okay, here's what I see. You got 5 sort of groups of things. So let's sort of group everything in groups of 5. Here's some 1-hour tasks. Let's just do one at a time. and it took what was really kind of overwhelming for me, um, and made it something where it was doable. So again, the way my brain works, I can see big picture stuff and I can see all the fine details. And it is sort of the conversion in between that I have trouble with. Here's a very simple example: folding laundry. It's it's very difficult for me to fold laundry. It's the folding part is easy, but it's putting it away, because like t-shirts, they're going to go in the drawer. Okay, do I do it by color? Do I put the lighter ones on top and the dark ones on the bottom? Do I do it by the order in which I'm more likely to wear them? Or do I do it the opposite of that? So some of my t-shirts that I don't wear very much get back into the rotation. Do I put shorts in here? Do I put pants in here? Do I hang pants in the thing? I get all these different possible options that I could do, and all these different sort of calculations and permutations just about laundry, that I get overwhelmed. And for the last several years, they've just clean laundry has been in a giant pile at the foot of my bed. At some point, I just decided that's the system. I come in here and all this laundry is in a pile at the end of my bed, and I'm upset because it's not in the dresser, it's not in the chest of drawers, it's not in the wardrobe. And yet I'm still able to get dressed. I'm still able to find clothes. So I've just decided this is the system. Immediately, all of my stress, all of my stress went away, because now I'm adhering to the system. The system is big pile at the foot of the bed. And I've decided in my dream home, my closet is going to be a big, large walk-in sort of bedroom space with just tables, and nothing will ever need to be folded or put away. I'll just be like, underwear over here, socks over there, shirts over there, pants over here. And that I can live with, that I can do. But anyway, that's sort of how my brain works. So when I have a room that is messy, you can see the books and things that I have stacked up here. You don't want to know what's behind this futon. I get overwhelmed. And so even just being able to have this chatbot say very obvious things to me, like break it down into smaller steps and just do 30 minutes at a time and take all the papers and put them in one place. Obviously, I know all those things. I'm a coherent, intelligent human being. Um, but the problem is I have 47 of those things all happening at one time. And so when Alfred tells me, do this, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do this one thing. I'll go, fine. That's the thing that I will do. I don't have to make that decision anymore. I have the freedom to sort of ignore all that other stuff. Why I can't do that on my own, I don't know. I described, I'm going to show you Beatrice here in a second. I described it to a buddy of mine, and he's like, can't you just like write that down on a sheet of paper and check it off? And, you know, you'd think that you could, but for some reason I can't. Besides, again, this is more fun because it's like you're chatting with a little robot person. It's not like a real person. It's a chat box. It's a bot. But it's still kind of fun sometimes. So here's Beatrice. So I've got my Notion, instead of in one long document, I've got it sort of in nested documents. So the very first one here at the top is our project instructions. And so let's look at that, and then we'll come back and look at some of the rest of this stuff. So in my project instructions, even this I have organized, and I think there's a key to open all it. Oh, there it is. I remembered. Beginning with purpose. And so this is letting Beatrice know who she is and who I am. By the way, the first draft of this I ever did, I just went into a main chat in ChatGPT, turned it on voice chat, and said, here's what I want to create. Here's what I want to do. How do we start working this out? And so the first draft of these instructions actually came from ChatGPT. I changed them a lot, but I just didn't really know what I was doing or how to do it because it was the first time I was doing it. And so the fact that it was able to sort of draft some stuff out for me worked really well. In fact, I think I drafted it out in the car. I think I was driving home from my parents, and I just put it on voice mode while I was driving, and we talked back and forth like it was a conference call. And I said, okay, well, write that up for me. And then when I got home, I was able to like format it and export it and stuff like that. So anyway, this purpose section just defines who am I, what are some things about me that are pertinent for planning and that sort of thing. Who are you, Beatrice? What is your goal? What's your purpose? What are you going to do? And then it also points to that legacy vision, which is one of the files in her files, that everything is always in service of the legacy vision. It always comes back to that. And so this paragraph here that I've highlighted, it says, please see additional general notes and it gives the Notion location, or it says to look in the files if the Notion connector is unavailable, which currently it is. So the general notes is one of the other pages. So when I export from this page, Notion will create a zip file. That's inside the zip file is a folder, and inside the folder is each of these documents as a separate document. And so I don't have to copy and paste or break it out. I can just take those files and immediately upload them into ChatGPT project file section. The only one I don't do that with is her project instructions. I copy the text and put it in the project instructions in the project settings. So once we describe the purpose, then the next thing is understanding modules. And so this is how you can kind of understand how I've put this together. So it says, as my executive assistant, you are powered by a day-long series of modules. Each module is a particular set of steps, prompts, or reference material. They are separate pages in Notion, specifically subpages within, and I give the location. If the Notion connector is unavailable, look in Files for Markdown files by the same name. So you can see that when it gets down to the modules here, Morning Vision is not separated by a space, it's separated by an underscore. That way it's got a unique name, because I might just have the words morning and vision next to each other in a chat that I'm typing, but morning underscore vision is clearly referring to this document. And so the document in my file section is morning underscore vision .md .markdown. And so whether she's looking through the Notion connector, if that is ever working again, or whether she's looking in her files, it's named the same. So continuing on about modules. Right here, whenever a module is run, look for it in the specified location. Don't print the run module instruction. In other words, don't summarize what you're reading in the module or don't put it into the chat. Just read it yourself. Don't summarize, just immediately run the instructions, steps, prompts, or logic contained in the module. Once the module has been completed, return to these project instructions and pick up where you left off. And so the idea here is that these project instructions are essentially a framework for the day, and then those individual modules are the specific instructions of how to get through those specific things in a day. So from there, we go with executive assistant. So this is, okay, you're beginning your day as the executive assistant, and that begins when I come in and I say good morning. So when I tell Beatrice good morning, then she comes back and she greets me and she goes right into the very first module, which is Morning Vision. She goes right into the Morning Vision module. Once the whole Morning Vision module is completed, she comes back here and reads. When that is completed, immediately run the next module. Don't ask if I'm ready, just do it. And the next module is the Daily Work Visioning module. So you see those two modules there. Then there's a little note about task blocks, because the whole point of the Morning Vision and the Daily Work Visioning, we'll get into those more in just a second, but Morning Vision is basically, just for me, it's sort of getting me in the right frame of mind for the day. The Daily Work Visioning is planning out my day, and the end product of that module is an itinerary for the day. Here's everything that you're going to do and work on today from now until the time that you go to bed. And it's all broken up into task blocks, okay, for an hour here, for 25 minutes here, that sort of thing. And so this section here tells Beatrice how we're going to do those task blocks. So once we enter into going through that itinerary, each of these task blocks will be handled in the same way. And it's right here. Acknowledge what task I'm working on. We've added, because I'm a person of faith, I like to sort of pray through things when I can. And so we've added to add just a little work block benediction. Sometimes she will just put a little 2-line prayer for me in the chat. And, it's kind of like any other time somebody else writes a prayer for you. It's a little weird, but it's no different than reading a prayer in the Bible or in a prayer book, or maybe you've got a religious book that you're reading or somebody suggests a prayer to pray. You can look at it and go, yeah, I think I want to pray that, or no, I don't know what this person's talking about, I don't want to pray that. You can make the decision on your own. You have free will. You're a human person. But she puts little 2-line benedictions in there, and I gotta say, she knows so much about me because I put so much into the chat, and she keeps so much in memory, and she pulls so much out of my legacy vision and out of my strategic plan and all these kinds of things, that at this point, a lot of these benedictions are spot on, and sometimes they just really they really hit me, because it's like, hey, I needed to hear that. And it's kind of me telling myself, if you think about it, but to have this tool that is able to take what I put in and reframe it in a way that helps me remember what I might be taking for granted. I mean, I think that's pretty neat. So anyway, so then I go into my work block, and it might be a 25-minute block. That's normally how I like to do things. Sometimes I'll do a 45-minute sprint with like a 15-minute break or something like that. But basically, sort of half hour and hour blocks is what we're looking at. And we just go from block to block. And of course, there's meals and errands and other things that need to be done. Ideally, midday, there's a little midday routine that we'll go through. And then some more work blocks. And then when I'm ready to close out the day, this is the symbolic end to my work day. So this is not the end of the day, but this is the end of my work day. And so I have a little routine for closing out the day that helps me reflect on everything that I've worked on in the day previous, anything that remains outstanding, preparing for the next day, all that kind of stuff happens then. Then I have my personal time in the evening. And then at the very end of the day, right before I go to bed, I sit down and do this evening reflection time. And it is just a little short series of prompts that helps me sort of prayerfully wind down for the day before I turn the lights out and go get in bed and turn the TV on. And what I love about it is it's a ritual that says the day is over. And once that happens, I feel total freedom to then just goof off or watch TV or whatever, because I feel like I've done, or at least attempted, the things that I'm going to do for the day. I've now said that I'm done with that. And so now I feel complete freedom. And even if what I'm going to do is go straight to bed and go straight to sleep, I don't feel anxiety and things hanging over my head and stuff like that as much as I used to, because I know today is done. I tried to do what I could do today, and I did as much as I could, and I had a full day and I did it. And even if a bunch of stuff didn't get done today and is carrying over for tomorrow, that will start at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and I don't have to worry about it anymore now. And so just having this little ritual, this little reflection ritual at the end of the day, really just helps me sleep in peace. So that's one reason why I want to share this with people, is not necessarily because a lot of people will need AI help planning their day or something like that. But I think you could use a chatbot in this way responsibly. You need to understand what it is, what it's good at, what it's actually doing, how it actually works. You don't want to become delusional because you're chatting with a chatbot all the time, okay? But you can use it as a tool to kind of help you recenter on things that are important for your life or for your family or for your business. And so if you're inspired by any of the morning things that I do or any of the evening reflection stuff that I share here, please, I've stolen it from other people. I've taken it from somewhere else. Please take it and use it. I would like at some point to sort of genericize this and maybe sell it as a product for, like, I don't know, $20 or something like that. Something where people can download and immediately install it into their own project and be able to take off and work with it right away. I would charge a little upcharge if you wanted me to help you set it up and that kind of thing. I'd be glad to spend time doing that. But I don't know. It's a product I'd like to sell. I don't know if anyone else is into anything like that. But if you're watching this and you think that's something, yeah, I'd pay $20 or something like that, let me know. Okay, so that's sort of the project instructions. This is the spine of the instructions. This is what goes in that the project settings and the instructions area. And this is pretty much all that'll fit in there. I can't put much more in there because, like I said, there's like an 8,000 character limit. And it's pretty much right at it. So, but it's the spine of the day. It goes from here's what we're going to start with as soon as I say good morning, and then here's what we're going to do to close out the day. So now let's go back and look at some of these modules. So the modules I have are the morning vision, which is, again, about putting me in a positive frame of mind for the day. Daily work visioning, which is about planning my work for the day and ending with that daily itinerary. Work block benediction, which is a short module that just tells Beatrice how to prepare me for each individual work block. And then the midday routine, which sometimes we get to midday. We haven't done that one a bunch, actually. She usually forgets, and so do I. Close out the day. When I say, hey, I'm ready to close out the day, that's her trigger to go to this one and to run that routine. And then at night, I say, hey, let's do our evening reflection. And she pulls that up and we will do it. Now, I also have here weekly repeating tasks. And these are things that are called up in the daily work visioning. One of the instructions that you'll see when we get to the daily work visioning is to check to see what day it is and are there weekly repeating tasks for that specific day. Right now, I only have weekly repeating tasks on Mondays and Fridays. So we'll get in there and we'll look and we'll see what some of those are. And then every quarter, I want to do a review, and every year, I want to do a review. These documents are very short right now simply because I haven't had to do an annual review yet, so I need to build that out some more. I think the quarterly review might be a little more built out, but not much. It's still pretty short, but I don't know, might be enough just for the review that I want to do. But have not completed a full quarter quite yet. Well, actually, I guess I have. So maybe I do need to look at that. October, November, December was the end of the first quarter of this plan. So I guess I should take a look at that. Then down here, the final thing is reference modules. And so these are things that are not called up at any specific time, but they're things that might be useful, or they're things that may be referenced by all the modules. So for instance, general notes. This is one of the things in her general instructions, in the project instructions, before anything else, before we even get to good morning, which is the beginning of was where I enter the picture. Before even that, she's told, read general notes. And general notes contains things like her emotional and energy state awareness. So this is about me, her being able to pay attention to the way I'm writing, the way I'm speaking, things I'm talking about. If I'm getting negative, if I'm getting depressed, if I'm getting frustrated, she'll return to some of these things or suggest some of these things. Tone and persuasion style. I've mentioned some persuasion things I want in there that I don't want AI cliches. I'm not looking for something sycophantic. I want somebody who'll call me out if I'm doing some repeating behaviors that are not helping me at all. And I've put in some people like C.S. Lewis, Tim Keller, Flannery O'Connor, Cormac McCarthy, James Clear, Robert Cialdini, Scott Adams, Roy Sutherland, people that are good at persuasion, or good storytellers, or people that or good planners, good marketers, these kinds of things. I'm saying draw on the expertise of these people. These are people that have put a lot of expertise out on the internet. These are people that she should know well in terms of what types of things they might say, or the types of advice they might give. And they're people that I would trust if they were speaking directly to me. So I tell her to treat them as experts, and use their knowledge and wisdom accordingly. And then help me envision the joy and satisfaction of completing tasks rather than counting the cost of accomplishing them. This is a little reframe from Scott Adams about laziness. If I can focus on the joy of completing the thing, how I will feel once this is done, instead of, oh, this is going to take a lot of work to do. Oh, this is going to be so hard to get started. Oh, I don't know where to begin. Instead of focusing on that part, but instead focusing on the joy. It's kind of like birth. No mother sits around and thinks, oh, I can't wait to give birth because of all the pain that I'm going to feel. No, they say, I can't wait to have this baby in my arms and to love this child. And obviously the joy outweighs any of the pain that they may go through in the in the delivery, in the process of labor. Break that down into a much smaller idea, and that's the way it needs to be with tasks that we do. I need to think about what is the end product that I'm going to get out of this, and not worry so much about how difficult it's going to be to get there. As a guy I follow on Threads says, everything is hard and nobody cares. So yeah, everything that everybody's trying to do is hard. You're not the only person doing hard things. And if you want to do anything cool, it's going to be really hard, and nobody's going to care until you're done with it. And so you just need to focus on what's the product I'm going to have when I'm done with it, and is that going to be something of value for myself and for other people? And if so, focus on that, not on all the hard work that it's going to take to get there. Just do the work. And then I've asked her to kind of go easy on the emoji. I want this to be sort of serious and professional, and then some things about memory and summary down there. Like I said, most of the memory stuff I'm copying out and keeping in Notion, which I will show you as well. So that's the general notes. Then I have my legacy vision. So that's in there. It's basically just that eulogy that I wrote for myself, just slightly rewritten. Some things that I won't show you here, but I've got links to my calendars and webhooks that control my lights and my music. And so these are just lists of those. I have not gotten her, one time I got her to actually change my lights, to actually run the webhook and change my lights. It seems to be very difficult to get her to do that. And so what I've ended up doing is saying, just put a clickable link in the chat at this time, and if I want it, I'll click on it. Because a lot of times I'm at Starbucks when I'm running this, and I'm not worried about turning on music and changing lights and that kind of stuff anyway. But it is neat that as part of this module, I can have it set up where When I'm ready to shift into work, I can change the lights in the house. I can change the music that I'm listening to from like my peaceful morning music into like some, droney work music. Um, so anyway, it's nice to have that option. So that's what the reference modules are there. Okay, let's go through some of these main modules here because this is where the good stuff happens. So the morning vision is, these are the things that we do. We're going to start with gratitude. Then we have some identity prompts. Then there's a daily prayer rhythm. So there's like a morning prayer thing that I want to do. Then I have some mindset prompts. And then after that, I call it assessing the world. So when I say start with gratitude, that's literally what happens. When I say good morning, the very first thing she does is say, good morning, name 3 things you're thankful for. I want to start with gratitude every day. No matter how bad things are, no matter what's going on, if you're still able to think, you can find something to be grateful for, even if it's only I have the ability still to think. Even if that's all you have, if you've lost everything else, you at least have that to be grateful for. So there's always something to be grateful for if you're still coherent and conscious. And so I want to begin every day with gratitude because I've found no matter what I have going on, what worry and anxiety I have, if I can find things to be thankful for, then I'll remember that I actually do have a lot in my hands. I do have a lot that's been entrusted to me. I do have a lot of talents. I do have a lot of skills. I do have a lot of gifts. I do have a lot of things that people have given me. I do have a lot of people supporting me. I have a lot to be thankful for. And I would rather start my day thinking about that than being, oh, I've got so much to do today. Nobody wants to begin that way. So we start with gratitude. And then we go right into these identity prompts, which again are sort of kind of the same idea. They just get more specific. So the first question is, why did you wake up happy this morning? I think I got this from James Clear, maybe from his Atomic Habits newsletter. But the idea is not assuming that I did wake up happy, because maybe I woke up really grumpy, right? Maybe I woke up pretty grumpy. But the idea is not assuming that I woke up happy. The idea is instead, if you had woken up happy this morning, what would have been the cause? So it's sort of a fantasy kind of thing. It's sort of a positive mindset. I'm not big into like affirmations or like visualizing your future. I don't like that kind of language. It sounds a little voodoo-y to me. But you are, a product of your own thoughts. I mean, you can talk to your own brain and get it to work differently by doing that. It's just sort of how we're made. So this allows me to imagine the man in that legacy vision. Oh, if I woke up happy this morning, it might have been for these reasons. And lots of times I'll list 2 or 3 things. Sometimes I'll list 10 things. And what I've noticed is a lot of times when I list 10 things, I'll go, hey, these first 3 things are actually true. I really did those things yesterday. I really did go to bed early and I really did eat well and I really did exercise. The next few things, like say maybe something about my finances or something like that, I can look at and go, well, I'm not doing that. I don't have that yet, but I could. This is something that I could work on. This is something that I could easily achieve. And then other things like, being married and having a family. Well, that's something that's probably, a little ways off since I'm not, currently pursuing that in any meaningful way right now. But it is something that I want in my life, and it is something that I do want to be thinking about. It is something I don't want to miss if the opportunity arises. And so the chance to think about that every day and go, yeah, I really do want to be married. I really do want to have babies. I really do want to have kids. That's, that lights a fire under you when you want to start a family, and suddenly making money and putting money away and saving for things becomes a lot more serious. Those of you watching that already have families understand that. So that's that first question. Why did you wake up happy this morning? It's not about why I did really wake up happy, but instead it's about how I would like to wake up happy so that I can start to build that life for myself. Second question, ask yourself, who am I becoming? And this is going back to that legacy vision. Lately, for the past several months, I've had this phrase, daring wonder. And you can even see on my background here on my desktop, I've got the Daring Wonder logo. So you can see that. And this was sort of a superhero style logo. Actually, ChatGPT made this logo for me. Came up with the phrase. I said, hey, make me a superhero logo like it's an old 60s crime fighting show. I was thinking about the old Batman show, It came up with that. I was like, I love it. And I've got a hoodie that has Daring Wonder on it. I've got a t-shirt with Daring Wonder. They're actually for sale on my website, parabolas.com. And it's a great way to support me, by the way, is buying my merch. But that's been the answer to this question lately. Who am I becoming? I'm becoming a daring wonder. I'm becoming somebody who's bold, who's less timid, somebody who's less, reactive and more proactive. And I'm trying to do wonderful things, not just small things, not just gentle things, but like I want to do stuff that's all inspiring and all striking. I want to be a daring wonder. And again, having to repeat that every day, every morning, it just drills into me. Yeah, remember, you're going to do bold stuff today. It just primes me for a day of doing bold things and wonderful things, things that dare other people to see the wonder in the world as well. Third question, final question of the identity prompt section. What one small thing will I do today to become this person? So, what will I do today to become a daring wonder? And typically I have one sort of big thing that I know I need to get done for the day, one creative task or one thing that's going to move my film forward or one marketing thing I need to do something. So typically there's one big thing that I kind of know I need to do for the day. And that's the thing that I will put there. And I'll try to make it small, not the big thing that I'm going to accomplish, but what little one movement do I need to make today? At the end of the day, if I've done this one movement, then everything else, if everything else was a wash, at least I had this one thing. That's usually how I answer that question. What's the one thing, what's the smallest thing that I can do today that will get me closer to becoming that daring wonder that I dare to be in that legacy vision? So then we move into just a little prayer and reflection time. So she has me take a deep breath and then do a short free writing in my discernment journal. Not going to show you that, but I do have a journal that's in the private part of my Notion. I share my company stuff with Noah, but I have my own personal space as well. So in the private part of my Notion space, I have my discernment journal, and in there is where I just sort of, it's kind of like a light prayer journal. I do my main prayer journaling in my notes app where it's just sort of personally and just for me. But I do like having this particular exercise in a discernment journal because that allows me then when I'm doing like a review, like quarterly review, annual review, I can use that Notion connector, even if I have to go out to the main chat to get a summary, I can use the Notion connector to say, hey, go through every page in this discernment journal and tell me these things. Tell me what you see and tell me what I'm doing over and over again and what are the things I keep praying about and that never change and stuff like that, right? And so it just kind of helps me just sort of from a journal mindset. Um, I don't spend long doing it. I don't spend an hour or anything like that. Sometimes I'll spend 5 minutes, sometimes I'll spend 20, but sometimes it's just a couple of sentences. But I do like to just make sure that I get in a little bit of prayer for whatever I'm doing in the day. She gives me a little prayer prompt to start. Uh, Lord, today I sent you inviting me to blank. And so I'll always fill in that blank. And again, I'm not trying to be prophetic or anything. I'm not trying to do anything, wildly spiritually crazy. But what I am trying to do is prime myself to notice if God is providing opportunities for me during the day. Is this person at Starbucks? Are they interrupting my work and annoying me? Or hey, is God wanting me to meet this person and have an interaction there? And so that's what's going on in that prayer rhythm. And then I log some of that stuff. Sometimes I bring it back into the chat. If it's super personal, I don't. Um, I bring things probably a little more personal than you would think into the chat. I feel fairly confident that, it's fairly private. I know the AI people could probably, open AI people could probably look at it if they wanted to. I don't really know why they would. Um, but I just know that Beatrice works better when she knows more about me. So anything that I can bring in, even if it's a little bit personal, that I want her to know. Super personal or confidential information or passwords and stuff like that, I don't put in the chat. But anyway, okay. Next section is mindset prompts. So this is sort of kind of going back to that identity stuff a little bit, but now it's getting into mindset for work. If someone asked tonight, what did you get done? What do you hope to say? And I put that right in the chat, not just for her to know, but for me to know, because now I've said it out loud. Okay, this is the thing that I want to get done today. Now I have that planted in my head. Even if she forgets, I have it planted in my head. This was the one thing I wanted to do today. What obstacles may arise? In other words, what are the things that I can foresee getting in the way of me completing this one thing? And sometimes it's my energy. Sometimes I didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe there was times when I had a head cold. I'm like, I don't feel good. It might be I've got a lot of errands to do today. I'm not going to be able to really get into a flow state to get any work done, that kind of thing. How's your energy level right now? I usually give like a, you know, 6 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. And that'll just give us a baseline to go on for the rest of the day. And then she asks, have you done your morning reading and prayer? I have an app that I listen to in the morning, and then I have my reading that I do every day. And typically I do that as I'm waking up. So by the time I sit down to talk to Beatrice, I've already done those things. So typically I will be able to answer yes. But if I haven't done them, if I've for some reason skipped over them or just, just wasn't really into it in the morning, when she gets here, I tell her, no, I haven't done that yet, or I did the prayer, but not the reading. Then she will say, okay, we're going to do that as the first work block. Because again, I just want to make sure that I begin my day in the right mindset. And for me, as a person of faith, that means reading and prayer. It's like breathing in and breathing out. I've got to do that first before I do any of the work. And then the last prompts here are about assessing the world. And I'm still working out the kinks of this one. She doesn't do this one great, but what she's supposed to do is get my local weather for where I am, and then she's going to look at my calendars using the calendar links in that reference module, and pull in anything that I have on my calendar for the day. That way, I don't have to copy that over. I don't have to type it in. She just looks at the calendar and says, "Oh, okay, I see." Again, there is a Google Calendar connector in ChatGPT, but it doesn't work in projects. And I don't know why that is. I think it comes down to the fact that projects are shareable. So I can add people to a project. And so like me and Noah can share a single ChatGPT project, and we can both, type in the chat. And then, so it's like the three of us, me and Noah and ChatGPT all typing, chatting together. And so I'm guessing the reason why the Notion connector and the Google Calendar connector don't work, although many other apps do, like Target and Instacart and dumb stuff like that. I'm guessing the reason these other real helpful things don't work is because they contain personal information that ChatGPT assumes that you don't want someone else to be able to access or manipulate. Um, so, I appreciate the help, but at the same time, I'd rather have the connector. I really would like to have it. Because again, in the main chat, when I say, tell me what I have to do for the day, very easily the main chat can see all of my calendars and say, here's everything on all of your calendars for today. That's really helpful. Wish I had it in projects, but it's not there. So sometimes we have to kind of finagle that. Sometimes I just have to manually type in what I'm doing for the day. But once it's in the chat, it's in there. So again, we're still doing all of this in one chat. So I've said good morning, and then all of this stuff is going on. And this is all context for the chat. So if you don't know how an LLM works, basically what happens is everything that goes into it is part of the context. So you're talking about a context window. Your chat, your whole long chat is a context window. And so when I say good morning to Beatrice, the first thing that she does is she takes all the project instructions, and that's the first thing that goes in the context window. The project instructions tell her to look at other things that are in her file. She pulls those in and reads them. That's now in the context window. The fact that I've said good morning, that's a trigger. She starts asking questions. My answers to the questions, those are in the context window. So way later down in the context window, when I say, let's plan the day, she has all the answers from everything that I've given before. She has my legacy vision. She has all the other things that she's been told to look at. She has all that information when it comes to planning my itinerary for the day. And that's what makes her so good at being able to do this. She's got all that context and is able to hold it just sort of right there in that local memory. That kind of memory, she's pretty good at. Once the context window starts getting long, I think it kind of starts dumping stuff out of the top, and sometimes she loses what she's supposed to be doing. There have been lots of times, particularly on Mondays, when sometimes there's a lot of planning for the week and stuff, and the context window gets really long. There have been times when I've had to just copy and paste the modules from Notion directly into the chat for whatever reason. She won't even when I demand that she do it, she won't go to the files and read them out of the files. But most of the time, she's very good at following instructions. I will say 5.2 is excellent at following instructions. Certainly compared to previous versions. So I guess that's something to be thankful for. So that's the morning vision module. Then we move immediately into daily work visioning. So here's this first thing about changing the environment. She puts the links up to change my lighting and change my music. I've got the specific ones that I use listed there. And if requested, she'll put links and I can just click on them. If I'm at home, when I click the link, my lights change. When I click the link, my music starts. My lights use LIFX lighting, and my music just uses Sonos just in the house. So then we catalog the tasks to be done. So she gets the date and day of the week. Monday only will, the first Monday of the month triggers the monthly reflection and forecast. Those instructions are the weekly repeating tasks. Uh, Also on Mondays, we do staff meetings. That's in the weekly repeating tasks. I call it a staff meeting because I go to all of my personal assistants and say, what would you like to see me get done this week? And they give a little update for Beatrice, and I copy it out of those chats and bring it back into the chat that I'm having with Beatrice. And I'm saying, okay, here's what Colette said, here's what Alfred said, here's what Andy said, and here's what Don said. And then she takes all that into account to try and work into our schedule for the week. Weekdays are just sort of the normal days. Also have in here that she should double check the strategic plan tasks. So those are in Notion, but I've exported a spreadsheet, a comma separated value file, a table essentially, and that's in her files. That way she can look at it and go, well, these things are overdue because they have due dates and stuff. So she can go, well, these things are overdue and these things are to be done this week. So she can add all of that into our weekly plan, and she'll get information from the calendars. Every day I keep a daily log. So it begins with that itinerary. And then at the end of the day, in the close out the day stuff, we will sort of go, okay, well, what changed? Here was the itinerary. This is what we started with, but what did we actually do? What changed? What are your observations based on that? And some things of that nature. And I put all of that into a log in Notion. So let's just look at that real quick. So here is the table that I have here. Here's all the previous weeks. And let's just go to an old week. Here's one from November. Let's look at November 10th. So I've got the title in here and then maybe a little summary and a date. Let's go to one with a summary. So here's one with a summary, November 17th. And this is all that's in the table, is just these 4 columns. But table entries in Notion can have a page associated with them. Each of these records is a page, essentially. So when I open it up, you'll see it's got that same information here. Here's the title, the status is archived, here's that summary, and here's the week start. But there's also all of this down here, and this is the page section that doesn't appear in the table itself. So I can take that full screen. So now we're just looking at this like it's its own document. So everything up here at the top, this is the part that's in the table. If we scroll past that, then we have all of these things down here, the Friday reflection, the daily logs, the staff meeting decisions, and the monthly reflection and forecast. So that MRF, the monthly reflection and forecast, this has everything in it that I went through at the beginning of November. And so this is about, okay, this is what October was like. Are we still aligned with what we're trying to do? Here's what we aim to do in October, but here's what we actually did. These were the wins that we had. These were the places where I got stuck. Here's behavioral patterns that she's noticed out of that. She's creating most of this. I've told her what to look for. I put my logs in. She looks at the logs and she comes back with a lot of this stuff. She has some questions. I brain dump a few things, but pretty much she's generating all of this. Here's what you said you were going to do, but according to the logs, here's what you actually did. Here's some behavior patterns I see based on that. It's been really helpful for me. You know, behavioral patterns. You thrive in focused bursts following spiritual anchoring. That's true. I do. And now that I've seen it in print, I'm more likely to do more spiritual anchoring. All right. Creative flow strongest midday to early evening. I would love to really knock a bunch of stuff out in the morning. It's my reminder to take my bedtime meds. I would love to knock out a bunch of stuff early in the morning, but the fact of the matter is, it sometimes takes me a long time to get started. I like to have a big breakfast and kind of ease into my day. Sometimes by the time my day gets started, it's 10 o'clock, 11:30, 2:30. Today, by the time I got done doing all my errands and sort of getting everything done that I needed to get done so that I could actually like begin work, I was like, okay, now I can begin my day. It was 7 p.m. before I could begin my day today. That's just the kind of day that it was. And now here I am. I'm live streaming. I'm like an hour into it or something like that. And I'm doing some kind of creative thing. I'm creating a video that's going to end up on YouTube, and I'm sharing some stuff that's hopefully meaningful to other people. And so she's right. You know, creative flow, strongest midday, early evening. Order fuels inspiration, clutter breeds resistance. Absolutely true. When I walk in the house and that front room is messy, I'm just like, ugh, ugh. As soon as I come in the house, it's no longer a place of peace. If I'm trying to eat at the breakfast table and I have papers piled up and things, I've just got like a little place kind of carved out for my cup and my plate. It drives me nuts. But if I have a nice clean table and the chair next to me is clean and the floor has been vacuumed, like I just have a sense of peace, and that helps me work better. External accountability, collaborators, deadlines, Beatrice prompts, drives execution. She's right. I'm not a great self-starter. I'm not a great self-finisher. I'm an excellent manager. If I had a team, I could afford a team. If I had a team of people, our team would probably be making $100,000 a month or more. I mean, we would be killing it. Um, but I don't. And so I don't have a lot of external accountability. But when I do have it, when I'm collaborating with somebody, when I have to meet with somebody, when Noah and I are getting together, when I have deadlines where I'm responsible to other people, or even just Beatrice telling me what to do, when I've got some sort of external accountability, that drives my ability to execute. She's absolutely right. Sustained peace directly correlates with prayer rhythm consistency. Again, dead on the nose. She was able to pick up on this based on when I was praying and when I wasn't, when I was doing that discernment log and when I wasn't, when I was praying before I got into my day and when I wasn't. And she was able to connect that with the days that I had peace and the days that I didn't. And the days that I was really prayerful entering into my day, I had a lot of peace and got through the day. Days when I wasn't praying through my day, same kind of day, same amount of mishaps and wins, and yet I wouldn't have peace because I wasn't praying. So if I am praying, peaceful day, not praying, not peaceful. She picked up on that pattern. Then we forecast the next month, and so I've got in here a bunch of dates that I wanted to remember for November, milestones, which this is, I think, mostly from the strategic plan. Monthly themes, this is something that she came up with. I read it and go, okay, that's cute, whatever. Some finance stuff, which we don't need to look at. Tools and gears. So this resources thing is something that came about in part because I need to clean stuff and I needed to be able to sort of catalog all the things in my house because like this room is my office, and so it's not really a part of my house so much. It's like a place where I work. But also there's like a whole bunch of coats back there. So it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff in my house. Some of it's personal things, and some of it is work things, and some of it needs to be put away, and some of it's things that I use every day. Some of it's stuff that that sort of thing. So she's helped me to figure out to sort of separate all the resources that I have into tools and gear, my workspace. So not just the things in the workspace, but the actual space. Is my edit desk, is that working? Right now, it might look kind of cluttered, but everything has an exact little space. Nothing's overlapping. Nothing's falling on top of itself. Nothing's, I'm not having to move things around every time I sit down. Every time I sit down, everything's exactly where I need it to be. And so that's working really well. Whereas when I try to work maybe at the kitchen table, or maybe if I, go to work at Starbucks and I take things with me, maybe there's some things that I'm missing. So that's the workspace concerns. And then collaborators. Who's in my life? Who am I working with? Who are bringing things in? Who do I plan to work with this month? Sort of what resources are available to me in that way. She's going to draw on all these things. And this MRF is in this log, and this log goes into the chat, pretty much every week. This MRF goes in every Monday. Every time we plan, she looks at all this stuff for the month. Key reminders for the monthly plan, and then broad targets for the monthly plan. That's the whole monthly plan. This is what we're trying to do this month. So that's the MRF, and you can see how much text that is. That's a lot of stuff. All right, so that's the Mr. F. So now we get into the staff meeting decisions. So we go through the staff meeting module, and we come up with long-term goals. This reflection and direction, this is I go and do a little bit of prayer, a little reflecting and praying about the previous week and where I would like this week to go, and I bring that back in here, and then she usually summarizes that for me, so it's not my whole big long prayer journal thing, but it's just like a little paragraph. The priorities for the week, this comes out of the MRF and also out of our discussion, and also from the input of the other personal assistants. And then major calendar events, which I've talked about before. My meals, my financial factors, resource factors, things that I plan on using this week, or people I plan on collaborating with this week, that sort of thing. External factors, so the weather for the week, where I'm at in my health and sleep cycle and my eating currently, and things that I need to improve on that. Spiritually, emotionally, how am I doing, and what am I going to do this week to sort of improve on that. Workload reality, what can I really get done this week? And if I've got a couple of days, maybe I've got a travel day or something. Okay, obviously I'm not going to be able to do that, things like that. This week it looks like I had a funeral that I wanted to attend, so that was obviously going to eat up a big chunk of the day. So we just needed to be realistic about what I was going to be able to get done. And then what is my creative rhythm, so that she can properly schedule my day. When am I strongest? and when am I weakest, so that we can kind of plan around that. And then we make a weekly plan. Here are the things that I'm going to get done. And you'll see this is broken into maker, manager, marketer. And this is something that I picked up from some book marketer, author, marketer website or something. But basically, it's just a way to take all my tasks and put them into sort of 3 buckets that require different types of energy, require different skill sets, and require me to sort of change hats. So maker is if I'm doing something creative, if I'm writing, if I'm editing, if I'm filming a video like this is my maker time. This is my maker task for the day. And typically I'll get 1, maybe 2 maker things done in a day. Again, a 30-minute or an hour-long task block focused on making. Manager, this is all the admin stuff. This is going through emails, this is sending invoices, this is doing financial things, this might be running errands, things like that, right? Any kind of manager task. Even tidying up the studio, as you can see, is one of the lists here. Ordering groceries, that kind of stuff. These are personal, but they're, personal management things. And then marketer is how will I let people know what I'm creating? How will I let people know that I want them to buy my stuff? How will I let them know that I have value that I'm contributing to the world? And so it might be sending emails, it might be posting on social media, it might be perhaps the maker task that I'm doing, such as this one. I'm creating this, I'm live streaming. Well, that's also part of the marketing because it's going out and hopefully somebody's watching it. It's going to go on YouTube where somebody's going to watch it. And so, anyway, all the marketer tasks go in there, and that's the weekly plan. And so, again, it's quite a lot of stuff. And so, every day when we go to do the plan for the day, this whole staff meeting decisions goes in there. So, Tuesday morning, we come up with this on Monday. On Tuesday, all of that goes into Tuesday's chat box at the appropriate place. And so that Beatrice always has that to draw from. I don't rely on her memory. We paste it in here into Notion, and then I copy it out and I paste it back into the chat so that she can see it. And then we keep a daily log. So let's fold down Monday here. Well, that one's empty. Let's find one that's it's not empty. I don't do this every new. Looks like I picked a bad week. I think this is one of the weeks that I was sick. So let's pick a week that's got some stuff in it. Let's go to September 29th. Let's try that one. And here we go. We got some stuff. Okay. So here's what a daily log looks like. So she comes up with a working itinerary, and here she's broken it up into midday, afternoon, because it looks like by the time I got around to starting on this, it was about noon. So I've got my midday, afternoon. I've got my early evening reset, my evening creative work that I'm going to do, and then going to bed around 10. Now, that's what we aimed to do around noon when I started this work day. Okay, then this adjustments made, this lets me know what changed. So it looks like at some point I was exhausted, I needed a nap, and so that shifted the evening later. I postponed some of the work, I did some other things instead of things that we had planned, whatever. Observations, physical recovery demanded priority. This was, I injured my leg and it was super painful for a couple of weeks, and it took me a while to get over that. I'm still really recovering from that in a way. I've just been able to start going back and working out. I was not able to do that for months. And so it was kind of a minor injury, but it just was a long recovery time for this particular injury. So physical injury demanded priority, physical recovery demanded priority. Long nap shows the need for deeper rest. When energy was low, I still advanced my domestic resets and prep tasks. So that was good. File copying on a project that I was working on, that was able to be done with minimal exertion. And chores cleared mental space for tomorrow's heavier creative work. So again, when I was able to do those tidying things and clean the space, tomorrow was probably going to be a better creative day because of that. I've got some financial stuff in there. My wins, these were the things that I wanted to do that I did do, or maybe things that I didn't plan to do and ended up doing anyway. And then here's the stuff that I pushed forward. This was the stuff that I wanted to do today, didn't get to, but still needs to be done. So I'm going to push it forward to tomorrow. So then we come to Tuesday, and same thing. We work an itinerary. You'll notice some of the things that I pushed forward find their way into this list here, such as I wanted to do a DBS video. You don't need to know what that is, but I wanted to do a DBS video and film and post it. And so that got moved to Tuesday evening in this maker block here. So again, adjustments made, observations, net revenue, wins, push forward, etc. And every day, all the way through Friday. This day has a Saturday on it because I decided to do some work on Saturday as well. So then we get to the Friday reflection. And what the Friday reflection does is it takes all of the daily logs from the week. It takes the staff meeting decisions and sort of compares everything. What did I aim to do? Here are the things that I aimed to do. Well, what changed? Well, here are some things that changed because I had a surprise trip to Memphis that came up Thursday and Friday, and that changed my week that week. Um, some of this editing was deferred. Some of these other things I did. I learned some of this stuff, but it ate up a lot of time. What are the positives? Well, I got all the positives things listed here. And then what are the deltas? So delta, the Greek letter delta is the symbol for change. And so instead of positives and negatives, because if something's negative, that's too bad. What can you do about it? The idea is instead, let's not call it a negative, but let's say it's an opportunity for change. It's an opportunity to make it different. So these are, you can call them negatives if you want, but I like to call them deltas, things that I would like to change. And so we looked at that. I need to protect my daily exercise time for circulation and for energy. I need to dedicate shorter, more frequent bursts to certain tasks rather than saving them for the end of the day when I'm worn out and don't want to do anything, that kind of thing. And then I have a preview for next week. And I do the preview for next week in case there's something I need to do on Friday or need to send to something on Friday before the close of work day, because I don't like to bother people on the weekends. I don't really want to do stuff on the weekend. And if it's somebody that's at a job, they're not going to look at it. If I send it past 4:30 on Friday, they're not going to look at it. So if I can do this Friday reflection around 2 p.m. on Friday, even if I have more work to do for the day, then I should be able to get it to them in time that they can at least send me a quick reply, or maybe it's the first thing they look at on Monday. So that's the daily logs, and that's how we keep all that. So that's the memory that she has. So now going back to the daily work visioning instructions. It says weekdays, posting in the staff meeting decisions. That's where I'm going. I'm going into Notion. I'm going into this week's log. I'm pulling this week's staff meeting decisions and I'm putting them in the day. If it's Monday, we're making the staff meeting decisions. I copy them out of the chat and she formats them correctly for me in the chat. And then I copy and paste them into Notion. The day when she's able to read and write from Notion without my help. I have used ChatGPT Atlas, which is their browser, and I've been able to open Beatrice up on the side and have Notion loaded up in the browser, and she has added some things into the browser, but I only get so many agentic calls a month, and she's not that great at it. The agent not really great at just copying and pasting stuff, so it's just easier if I do it, quicker if I do it. So there's instructions in here for things that happen on different days. Planning the day, again, we separate everything that I want to do. First of all, I will brainstorm. I'll say, here's the stuff that I think I want to do. Then she will help me separate it into maker, manager, and marketer. And then I have some home task prompts as well. Simple chore that I can do today and meal plans for the rest of the day. That way I can make sure my health is on track. Because when I eat well, when I exercise, and when I sleep well, I do good work. And when any of those things start to fail, my work does not do well. For the maker, manager, marketer, there's a very specific question because really I'm wanting to focus on one thing. If I can do two things in any of these categories, fantastic. But typically with just daily trying to be healthy, again, being a single person trying to do everything myself, general errands that I have to run, general life stuff, surprises that come up, people phone call, whatever. If I can get 3 big things done in a day and then a couple of personal things, that's a pretty good day. So maker, what's one thing you'll create or improve today? So what's one thing I will create, or what's an edit I will move forward, or what are some notes that I will take on my film or whatever. Manager, what's one thing you'll handle with clarity? In other words, what's some admin thing that I can take and kind of get it done today that will provide some clarity to my life so that I can move forward. Again, you'll notice even these questions are phrased in a positive, persuasive mindset to help me, do things in the right way. And then marketer, what's one thing you'll communicate or share? Just one thing. That way I don't have to feel like I've got to launch a big campaign today. But if I can just share one thing today, I feel like, okay, I did some marketing of some kind today. People know that I'm still alive, that I'm still making stuff. The home task prompts, these affirmation response. So I told you I wasn't real big on affirmation, but I mean, that is an English word. It is a word that we use. And so typically what happens here is she will give to me a sentence and say, this is summing up everything that we've decided that you want to do for the day. And so when you get lost, or when you lose focus, or when you sort of feel your energy flagging, This will be kind of a little mantra that you can sort of come back to that response. It's sort of like if you go to yoga and they tell you to set an intention for the day. That's what it is. That's all that we're doing. And that's what this daily anchor is. So after this affirmation that I am going to do these things, then that daily anchor is the thing that I can kind of hold on to. And it's a phrase or maybe an image. Then we plan the day's itinerary. So I showed you what that looked like. I showed you the format. All those instructions are here for her. Then we have a daily prayer rhythm, because after we have done the itinerary, I want to pray over it. I want to say, God, if this is what you want me to do, let's do it. If this is not what you want me to do, close doors, close windows, open other doors, open other windows. Send me in the direction that you would like me to go. And then the symbolic work start. So this, again, is an idea that comes from James Clear. James Clear says, if there's something that you're wanting to do in life, you need to break it down into the smallest goal possible. And however small you think that is, he probably means smaller than you're thinking. So first of all, he says systems over goals. You do not rise to meet your goals. You fail to the level of your systems. That's something that he says. And so if you have good systems in place, then even when you feel not great, even when you haven't been eating well, even when you didn't get enough sleep, if you got your system in place, you can kind of churn your way through the system and still get things done. If it's all about goals and you lose your willpower, if it's all about goals and you don't understand the incentive, if it's all about goals and you don't have any way to get there, you're not going to meet them. You will not rise to the level of your goals, but you will fail to the level of your systems. So the idea is have good high level systems in place that'll keep you from falling very far. So as part of that, then he says, the example he gives is like with working out. Okay, so don't make your goal lose 30 pounds, because if you lose 29 pounds, you still haven't met your goal and you're a loser. And you're a loser every day, every minute, until finally you've lost 30 pounds. And then you get one win. And what fun is that? Being a loser for 3 months and then having one day of win. That's no good. Instead, make a system. I'm going to work out 10 minutes a day. I'm going to work out for as long as it feels fun every day. Or I'm going to work out 3 days a week, whatever the system is. As long as you're doing the system, that's a win. Okay, you were supposed to work out today and you didn't? Okay, you failed one day. You're a loser one day. No big deal. Because you can get right back in the system tomorrow and the system picks up and continues. And so you're a winner. And then if you end up losing 30 pounds, fantastic. But it doesn't matter, because in order to keep that weight off, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to keep working out and keep working out. You're going to have to keep that system going. So that's why you're going to not rise to the level of your goals, but you're going to fail to the level of your systems. So what kind of goals should you make? And James Clear says make the goal the smallest thing that it could possibly be. So if you're having trouble implementing a system of going to the gym, don't make the goal, I'm going to go to the gym 100 times this year. I'm going to go to the gym an hour a day. No. Make the goal, I'm going to set out my gym clothes and my gym shoes by the bed at night so that in the morning when I get up, I can put them on. Super small. Make the goal in the morning, I'm going to put my gym clothes on. When I started doing hot yoga, I don't think there was a single morning that I wanted to go. I loved my teacher. I loved my studio. I loved the class. But the fact of the matter is, early in the morning, especially in the winter, it's cold. I've got a heated waterbed and flannel sheets. It's super warm. I just really want to stay in bed. But I know I need to get into that hot room and I need to stretch. I need to do it for my health. I need to do it for my energy. I need to do it for the arthritis in my back. And especially for the early morning classes, I might be the only one in there, and I've got a teacher. He's going to be pretty miffed if he shows up at 5:30 and nobody else does, when a bunch of people had signed up. So I need to make sure and be there. So my goal was not to go to all these classes in a week. My goal was put your clothes on and get in the car. There was not I think there was maybe one time that I put my clothes on and just decided, nah, I'm not going. Pretty much every time, by the time I got my clothes on, it's like, I might as well go. I'm already dressed. So that's the idea behind getting that goal to be as small as possible. So for me, my symbolic work start that's listed here is bringing my water and coffee out of the kitchen, because a lot of times I'm talking with Beatrice, talking with BJ at the kitchen table right after I've had breakfast. So the goal here is to take my water and my coffee and come into this room. There's really nothing I can do in this room but work. I mean, I can watch movies or whatever, but I don't do that when I come in here. There's more comfortable places to watch movies and to do other things. When I come in here, it's to work. So if I'll come in here and sit down and open the piece of software that I want to work on for the day, open Resolve to do the color correction, or open Logic to do the sound design, or open Zoom to collaborate with whoever, right? If I will come in and open the piece of software and I bring my water and coffee with me, I'm in here now. Since I'm in here, I might as well work, right? So that's a little small goal for the day, is just bring the water and coffee in here and open the software. That's the smallest goal I can make. If I do that, pretty much every time I do that, I'll sit here, I'll work for 6 or 8 hours. If I don't do that, I might never leave the kitchen. It's a struggle. It's a struggle some days. But if I can make it into this room, we're good to go. So that's daily work visioning. And so at that point, I've got an itinerary. I know what I'm working on for the day. I've got clarity. I know what I'm not working on for the day. I've made a realistic plan of what I think I can get done in a day. I've got the 3 big things that I want to do for the day. I've got my calendar things blocked out, things that are, errands I have to run at specific times are in that itinerary. And now I'm just going back into, now I just essentially leave open my itinerary for the day, and I just sort of keep checking it. And as I do things, I go, okay, I did that. Now what's the next thing? Oh, Barnabas Vision Pickups filming. Great. We're going to go do that at 2:30. And I just pack up my car and I leave. And I don't have to rethink through it. I don't have to go, is that the best use of my time? I don't have to think about, well, I've got these other things to do. All of that is over. I'm not doing that anymore. I've already got it in the itinerary. The itinerary now tells me what to do. I've gone from the big picture vision guy, and now I'm the details guy. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to go do that. And so this whole process of using Beatrice to plan out my day in this way, by first planning my life, planning my year, planning my quarter, planning my month, planning my week, and then planning my day. By doing that, this has made me a more productive person. This has made me better at getting things done. This has made me more aware of when I'm not getting things done. This has made me aware of my best practices, of my health, the way sleep affects what I want to do, the way my eating habits affect what I want to do. And this is really important for me getting stuff done in the day. All right, 2 more modules, and then I got to go to bed. So we do the midday routine very quickly. There's some maintenance tasks like clearing my social notifications. The idea there being that I'm not on social media all day long, so I'm still working on that. Because so much of what I do, involves being on social, so it's kind of hard not to get stuck on there sometimes. But the idea here is that, okay, now I'm free to pick it up, go clear all my notifications, triage my email, kind of get it back down, clear out my junk mail, things like that. If I've got any phone calls that I need to make, now's the time to do that. Open up Safari. We all have way too many tabs open in our browsers. Go in, just close a few of them. Just close 4 or 5 of them. Just get some of them closed. I think I have 200 open on my phone or something. They've just been, some of those tabs I opened 4 phones ago, they just keep transferring over from phone to phone. So it's at some point I just need to go through and close some of those out. So I'll take a little 10 minutes. 10 minutes and I'll look at some of these things and either make them a to-do list object, or I'll close the tab and go, you're obviously not going to do that. You haven't done it in however many years this tab has been open. You're not going to do it. And then I was using OmniPlan to take care of a lot of my tasks, but I pretty much do it all in Notion now. So I'm about to stop paying for OmniPlan because it is a monthly subscription. Midday wellness check. And so she asked me these 3 things one at a time. What kind of energy do you have left for the day? Do you want to switch modes or take a break? And what feels unfinished from the morning? So just sort of a little check-in. Here's the thing. This is not a human being talking to me. I'm not crazy, okay? When she asks these questions, these are questions I've told her to ask me. This is me asking me these questions. But what this allows me to do is this allows me to be the manager all at once in creating this tool. And then I don't have to be the manager every day, because now the tool is recollecting my management and throwing it back at me in a way that is useful. And then in that chatbot style, it's almost like I am talking with another person. So for me, it works really well. I've been doing AOL Instant Messenger since I was, in high school for, over 30 years. So I'm a pro at talking to somebody in a chat box. And so it just feels very natural and way more fun than checking things off a list or ticking a box in an app. This is a lot more fun. And then a little midday prayer there as well. Okay, so then when I close out the day, again, there's another environment change. We changed the music. We changed the maybe some lighting. That's misspelled, so let's change that. And then we go into the end of day postmortem. And so we ask these self-awareness questions. I forget where I got these questions. I think I got them from one of my writers group friends. I think they're from 2 or 3 different places, and I've just sort of combined them all. Maybe I've reworded some, but these are questions that I like, and they help me sort of think back through the day and just sort of assess. Here are the questions. Did you create? When did you feel most energized? What gave you energy? What drained your energy? Did you have help today or wish you did? How did it go? And how might it have gone differently otherwise? How much money did you earn today? How much money did you spend today? Overall, what went well? Where did you get stuck? Did anything break, not work right, or frustrate you today? This is about resources, about tools or workspace, and that sort of thing. Did you say, so what did you learn from what didn't go well? Did you say no to something? Because saying yes means saying no to a lot of other things. So if you're saying yes to everything, stuff's not going well. So you got to say no to something in order to move forward. So what did you say no to today? Did you impact anyone's thinking, or was everything internal today? What did you change your mind on today, or what did I change my mind on today? What are you most thankful for today? Again, sort of ending in gratitude. And so then after I do all that, then I have her give me a report. Now I will edit it. I will tell her to change things. I'll just retype it myself, but she generates this report. She then tells me, okay, here's the adjustments made. She has the itinerary from the day. Here's the adjustments made. Here's the observations I see for the day. Here's your net revenue based on how much you made and how much you spent. Here's your wins for the day, and here's what we need to push forward for tomorrow, and how do you want to push those things forward. And so we'll do another little evening prayer rhythm, and then we start planning stuff for the next day. And then we shift from work into personal time. And typically that means kind of cleaning up, tidying up my workspace. Maybe if I could share one image or video that I came across while I was working, just to put one last little piece out there into the social world so that people know that I'm here. Just a little signal tossing out there. And then she suggests that I read something. And at times when I'm able to do that, that's great. Sometimes she will put a poem in the chat for me, which is sometimes hallucinated and sometimes not. Sometimes it's a direct quote. Sometimes she will just suggest something to read, or maybe link to something to read, an article or a poem or a short story. Or I may say, you know what, I've got a book. I'm just going to go sit and read that for a while. And that's my shifting into personal time. And so then the last one is the evening reflection. And this is closing out the the very end of the day. And it's very short, but it's just a short little examine, prayer, reflection. And I've done some short videos in the past. Back early November, you can find some shorts that I did on YouTube or Instagram Reels, TikTok. And I went through, in fact, I think it's literally November 1st. You can go and look and see about the examine, prayer, reflection. And it's just these 5 sort of fill in the blank things. And again, I generally do this in that discernment journal. So ideally, a full day in a discernment journal will have morning. There might be some things per task. There's a midday reflection, and then there's this evening reflection as well. So here are the 5 things. Lord, I thank you for blank. Lord, I need you to help me to blank. Lord, I reflect upon your blank. Lord, I need your healing for blank. Lord, today I claim your promise to blank. And I just fill in the blanks on all 5 of those questions. This is taken from the Examen prayer of St. Ignatius of Loyola. Came up with it hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And it was given to me in this format by a friend of mine that uses this quite often. And I love it. It's a great way to end the day. And then at that point, she wishes me a good night. She offers to turn the lights out, which again usually involves me clicking a link or whatever. Or I just go on to bed. Because sometimes I do this evening reflection from bed. I get in bed, and it's one of the last things I do on my phone. And then I put my phone on charge and turn on the TV or turn off the lights or whatever and just go to sleep. And that's it. That's my day. We go through that. Not every day, but I like to go through it every day. The idea is that I go through it every day, and not even just every work day, but she has specific instructions for weekends that I don't really like to work on the weekends. That Saturday is really trying to be a day of rest. Sunday is a day of rest and worship, and is a day for the Lord. And try to do as little work as possible on those days. She knows that. So when I come in on a Saturday and say good morning, we go through some things, but it's an abbreviated thing. Sometimes I will even come in and say, you know, the instructions that I want to go through, but I don't have a lot of time or I don't feel well or whatever. So can you just come up with some abbreviated kind of thing? And she'll sort of summarize all the instructions and come up with her own little thing for the day. And that's fun too, because it's just something different, you know. So I try to leverage the power of the LLM, leverage the power of the, token output large language model chatbot tool. And I've made what I think is a fun virtual assistant, and it's really helping me get things done. It's really helping me understand my strengths and weaknesses even better. It's helping me log the things that I'm doing every day. It's helping me make long term plans and accomplish them. And I'm really excited about it. And I hope that it's something that you will use at some point as well. I'll come back at some other point and live stream the other personal assistants and show you where I am with those. I'm still developing those. The most developed is Colette because I put my food in there pretty much every day, and she gives me my macros and all that kind of stuff for the day, which doesn't really mean anything to me. But what she does is she uses that to say, hey, you ate all of this at 8 a.m. You're going to have great energy until about 1:30 p.m. And so you're going to want to eat lunch about 1:32, somewhere in that window. That's a good thing for me to know, especially as somebody that can get focused on a task and get working and be like, oh, it's 4:30. I should probably eat something. At that point, I can't decide what to eat. My blood sugar is too low. When I haven't eaten, I get to a point where I literally can't decide. Sometimes I will sit, it'll take me an hour and a half to decide what to eat. I got a fridge full of food. I've got every restaurant in the known universe right here in Murfreesboro. And still, it's just like, oh, I can't decide what to eat. Somehow my brain is just incapable of making a decision once I get so low in my blood sugar in that way. And so she's helps me to not get to that place by letting me know, hey, here's what time you need to eat based on what you've already eaten, and hey, you ate a lot of protein for breakfast, which is good because you need protein, but maybe not as much protein, maybe some more fruit or some more roughage, some vegetables or something for lunch. She's really good at telling me that kind of stuff too, and I try to take the advice. Um, I have free will. I'm a sensible person. I'll do what I want. I generally know how to eat pretty healthy. But again, it's nice having that help. And if she's just straight up telling me what to eat, honestly, it's one less decision I have to make in the day. There is a thing called decision fatigue. You can only make so many decisions in a day before your brain basically says, nah, I'm done. I'm not making any more decisions today. And so with Colette's help, um, you know, that's she just helps me do that. And she's been real good about reminding me to put things on the grocery list because I will always leave out 2 or 3 things, and she's really helpful for that. She's also good at suggesting things I haven't thought of. So one thing that I hope to make this week that she suggested was cauliflower mash. I love mashed potatoes. I can't have them for a few weeks because of this diet that I'm on, but cauliflower I can have anytime. So cauliflower and butter steamed and mashed up, kind of like mashed potatoes. I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. A little butter, a little garlic, maybe a little kefir for some cream. So it's kind of like mashed potatoes. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see how it turns out, but maybe it'll be good. So, yeah. So when I have more time, I'll go through each of those assistants and their instructions. They're not nearly as detailed or as developed as Beatrice, but I am glad that I have them. They've all been very helpful, each one of them so far, and I hope to use them more and more as time goes on. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have any questions, DM me on social, whatever. Find some way to get in touch with me and let me know what it is that you would like to know about Beatrice or her teammates, her colleagues, and I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. And if you would consider spending $20 on a genericized version of this to just take and immediately use for yourself, let me know if you think that's a good idea for a product. And or if you would pay, say, $200 for me to give you the prompt and help you get it set up for yourself, and or maybe helping you do a strategic plan for your year, just like I did for myself. I would be willing to do that for, maybe between 3 and 5 grand for a weekend or something like that, depending on the size of your team and things like that. So I'm here to help. I'm sharing this because it's helped me, and I hope that it will help other people. And if this was of any help to you, please let me know. Godspeed in your own endeavors. I'll leave you with the trailer for my film, The Darkness Rolled Over Her. It's about a little over 2 minutes, and after that, I will be going to bed. So I will see you next time.
God, kill me. I want to die.
And Gwen, you're with Mr. Roy.
Hello again.
Hi.
Roy Miller. Nice to make your acquaintance, Gwen Donnelly. Fish, they like facing upstream. Fish is always facing upstream looking for something. So I'm gonna give them something. Ah, we forgot it. I suppose it's none of my business, but are you getting the help you need?
When we were getting on that bus, I saw this look in your eyes, and I thought, that's exactly how I feel.